Welcome to Interesting Choices, the show where we find obscure movies, TV shows, and other media that make interesting choices, and plenty of them, and drag them kicking and screaming into the light for everyone's enjoyment. I'm Sky.
I'm Kate.
So this week we're taking a look at Cyber Ninja.
Cyber Ninja, 1988 film? It's barely a film.
I think it technically counts. I forget what the official... There's like an official... That movie has to be at least yay long before it's not a movie anymore.
Yeah, this is like 71 minutes. So by most American runtimes, I think 90 minutes is the cutoff.
I've seen 80 minutes. I don't know.
I mean, 80 with some credits in there. But this is a short feature. Yeah.
It's never really got a wide release in the States. It got a theatrical release in Japan, though. Mostly it's notable because it was produced by Namco.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they are still selling action figures of this property.
Really? Wow, I need to look into that.
Yeah, you can buy your own Cyber Ninja with like replaceable heads or something.
When I first became aware of this movie, it was specifically because I was actually watching Samurai Pizza Cats. And I just started doing a wiki dive on them, and I found out that the cannon on top of their pizza place that fires them into battle in every episode is actually a parody of a thing from this movie, or at least according to Wikipedia, which, I mean, I'm inclined to believe.
I mean, the mechanical castle thing is super common, but I don't think I really have seen it much before this point in history. So I'm sure it left quite a mark on the Japanese psyche.
Yeah. The other thing about the movie is they released an arcade game based on it. When I first looked it up, I thought maybe the arcade game had come first, which would technically make this the first live-action video game movie, but it doesn't quite meet that requirement now that I know the arcade game came out afterwards.
Sure, this is more like an E.T. type situation. Movie first, then video game property.
Yeah. It's still pretty kind of weird that Namco decided to up and make a movie, though.
They have their fingers in a lot of pies, I think. And this was before they became Namco Bandai, right?
Yeah.
This movie, it feels like it's well in the tradition of the, like, Sentai, like, Kamen Rider, like, Power Rangers type of, people in a suit fighting each other in a quarry somewhere.
Yeah, tokusatsu.
Yeah, like, it is right smack dab in the middle of that. So I could understand why a company like Namco would want to make a property which then they could, like, exploit for figures, toys, all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, and it's funny you mentioned tokusatsu, because doing some more research on this, the characters designs were actually done by the guy who did characters designs for Kamen Rider.
I could see that. Yeah, it definitely has that sort of almost like you can see influences in Guyver from Guyver to that, like a biomechanical, future warrior type thing.
I mean, I gotta say, even for tokusatsu, a lot of the model work and prop work in this is just really, really top notch.
Yeah, I was very surprised to see the quality of them, but let's go ahead and launch in, and we can talk about things as they come up.
Yeah, it shouldn't be too hard. This is a breezy 70 minutes.
It is. Most of it is like, and then they fight. There's the barest, like, whisper of a plot.
Yeah, and what plot is there is pretty rote, so it's not like they're delving deeply into the themes of, war and tragedy and so forth.
Yeah, no, this is pure action. There's like only a tiny amount of character-driven motivation anywhere in it. I think the only characters that actually have any reason to be there are Shiranui, the brother guy,
Jiromaru.
Yeah,
They call him Jiromaru in the movie.
but I mean, other than those two, everyone's just kind of off fighting their own war for literally years.
Yeah. I mean, there's the princess, and my only real problem with the movie is that it feels like they're going to give her more to do than they actually do. And then the movie's over by the time she actually does something.
Yeah, it feels like she signed up for the film and she's like, yeah, I get to play a badass princess ninja warrior and there are all these robots, and then they're like, oh, well, you get to be tied to this tree for half the runtime. And she's like, I trained for this. I'm, and they're like, okay, fine, you can fight once, kind of. Fine, just do it.
Yeah. But I gotta say, for as short as it is, it doesn't feel short.
No, it feels well packed with things. Like it never drags, and it never it resolves everything.
Yep.
Ish.
I gotta say, on second viewing, it's a lot cornier than I remember, but I still really enjoy it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just rewatched it coming into this, and it was both shorter than I thought it was the first time I watched it, and very, very cheesy.
Yeah.
I think the dubbing has a lot to do with that, too. From the cursory glance I took at their IMDb pages, it seems like a lot of the voice actors for this are the same people that did all of the anime dubbing back in the late 80s, early 90s. Yeah. So, these are familiar voices that you might have heard from Robotech or from Samurai Pizza Cats, any weird anime that you might have gotten from Blockbuster, like, I don't know, Demon City Shinjuku or whatever. It's the same cast and crew, same voices all the time, same kind of hammy acting. So if you watch the dub for Project A-ko, you know what you're getting into.
Yeah, I got a real Ronin Warriors kind of vibe from the voice acting, definitely. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a lot of unnecessary screaming, which I love. And it's the sort of screaming that's you're clearly in a room and you don't want to yell too loud, but you have to make it sound like you're excited about a thing.
Yeah, you have to make it sound loud without actually being loud.
Yeah, it's like, ah, ee-ah, ee-ka. I swear I'm excited. Definitely.
Yeah. Oh, man. But yeah, the plot.
Okay, so the film opens up on this ongoing war between these two sides, these two factions. One is a bunch of samurai humans, and the other are a bunch of robot ninjas, basically.
Yeah, demon robot ninjas. Then the humans are the Sawabe clan, and it's been a long war, and they're not doing great. And we get to see some, most of the model work in the movie is in this beginning scene.
Yeah, they have a little bit later on towards the end, but I do like the sort of designs that they took for their mecha, which are basically, if you just took an old ancient Japanese castle and then bolted walking legs to it, or a giant cannon to the front, and then made it roll out into battle on tank treads.
And there was the wall. It's just two sections of giant wall with a quad barrel cannon smudged right in the middle.
Yeah, and a ATST looking walker with just a Baba Yaga shed.
I was gonna say Mecha Baba Yagas.
Yeah, it's actually really cool, and there's a couple scenes where you see a bunch of them lined up in a row. So clearly they built a couple of them.
It blew at least one of them up.
Yeah, they're actually really cool mechanical design, and so it sets the tone for the film. This whole like, what if warring states Japan had ultra modern cyber tech and mecha, but still the aesthetics of the classical period piece samurai dramas. So everyone's wearing, hakama, they've got swords, but their swords also have shells in them that let them do energy slashes and stuff.
Yeah. And then there's a few guys, they have a line of, I don't know, they're like cannons. They kind of remind me of the old arquebuses from that period, but they're like got 3 barrels and they're huge and they're all got random hoses and pipes coming off them. They're all cyber techy and everyone's got a headband, which they don't really do anything in the movie, but I found out that it's in the arcade game that's supposed to be the indicator for the character's health. So
in one scene, one of the characters is like getting pumped up for battle, and you see the readout on the side change to the character for power, and you're like, okay, I guess this is kind of like a scanner type thing for their mental health.
Yeah, so it's a big battle. There's ninjas running around in T-poses, which always got me. They just arms straight out, running forward.
Mm-hmm. And then they shoot these like little bolts, and then you see later on that they're actually just like high-powered shuriken that like embed themselves in trees and stuff, but they look like green energy blobs.
Yeah, right up until that, you would have been forgiven for being like, oh, they shoot lasers. They're future ninjas. They have lasers. And then the movie makes a point of being like, no, they're shooting shuriken.
Yeah, it's wild. And so the human side is commanded by the princess and her advisor, this like really old dude. And they kind of just hang out in the back while all of their foot soldiers go and get mowed down.
We see the 2 brothers, Mustache and No Mustache.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh, what was Mustache's name?
I don't remember. It doesn't matter because his name is barely important for the film, other than the fact that he's the brother of No Mustache. But Mustache rules. He's just going around slashing up all these cyber ninjas, robot ninjas.
He's got his sword loaded up with bullets, and he's laser cutting the crap out of everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And then his little brother gets into trouble.
Yeah, I think he gets shot by, like, I know he like explodes at one point. Like there's an explosion and he like flies through the air and like he gets a scar on his eye somehow. I don't know. Like things happen to this boy.
Yeah, he gets hurt. Mustache goes to save his little brother and he gets murdered up real good.
Yeah, he's overwhelmed by these robot ninjas, and he watches his brother tumble slowly down a hill out of sight.
The slow-mo. The slow-mo shouting of the name as he's falling. And
then Mustache like drops his sword. It kind of like point first into the ground, and all of his like little shells fall out.
Yeah, signifying that he is, in fact, probably mostly dead.
Mm-hmm.
And they do the thing where it goes to look at something else, and we come back to where presumably his body was, but it's gone now.
Mm-hmm.
Which goes exactly where you think it's going to go.
Yeah, there are no surprises in this film at all. But the battle is over, I guess. That's the weird thing about this movie, is that like battles happen, but you don't ever see the consequences of the battle on a like larger political, or like I don't know why the Sawabe clan, what happened to them after they lost this battle. Like it seems like nothing. Happened to them. They seem fine. Like people died. Don't get me wrong. There are like plenty of dead soldiers. No Mustache comes crawling out of his hole and sees that all of his compatriots are dead. And he like looks for his brother's corpse, but it's not there. But he sees his sword and his bullets, and he picks up both. And
his sword bullets.
Yeah, he picks one of the bullets has the character for her heart on it, and he's like, "Okay, sure, pocket that." But then
we go to the forest, I think. So we just smash cut to a forest.
Yeah, we smash cut to a forest where there is a cyber ninja who's fighting other robot ninjas, I believe.
Like if the other cyber ninjas are like the store brand cyber ninja, he's the Coca-Cola of the cyber ninjas. Like he's got much better looking costume, much better looking armor.
Yeah, the OG robot ninjas basically look like they have dirty bandages wrapped around their heads, where this one has like a sleek Guyver-esque, like swept back helmet, kind of like the sort that you would see on a Tour de France racer, maybe like that, like elongated, super aerodynamic helmet.
Yeah. And the regular cyber ninjas, they've just got random hoses and greebles and little bits on them to indicate that they are in fact cyber ninjas.
Yeah, I think they bleed some sort of color, not red.
I think it was green. I don't remember.
Yeah, green or blue, some color.
Yeah, but he takes them out, and then he has a bit of a stumble, and then one of the other protagonists wanders out of the forest and lets him know that he can't go on this past this point. He's supposed to be guarding it from anything that's not human.
Which is a weird thing because he just was like, I'm gonna have a chat with you, bro. And he's this rough looking guy. In any other movie, I'd be like, that man is either a trucker or a fisherman. But in this, he's kind of a very well-known mercenary. Yeah.
I get the feeling that they wanted to evoke Toshiro Mifune when they had cast this character. I don't know that, either he might not have been available or he was too expensive for the movie, but I get the feeling that that's what the kind of character they wanted this guy to be.
Yeah, I think Mifune would have been in his 60s at this point, so...
Also that. Yeah, they kind of have a little bit of a chat, a little bit of a standoff, and then the Cub Scouts show up.
Yeah, with No Mustache brother in tow.
Yeah. And then Cyber Ninja deploys his hydraulic heels and GTFOs.
Oh, as soon as he sees the brother, he kind of like does this like double take, this cyber double take, where his like little visor kind of like narrows a little bit.
He furrows his cyber brow.
Yeah, it's kind of a neat effect. But yes, then he deploys his like reverse jumping boots, and then like yeets himself out of there.
Yeah, it's kind of like, if you think critically about it, it's hard to understand how that might work, but it was a cool effect when I saw it, and I was just like, yeah, sure. Which, I mean, I could say that about a lot of this movie. There's a bit, and I get these parts mixed up, because the first time I saw it, it sort of got muddled in my head how things happen, but the princess is going back to the camp from somewhere. Mm-hmm. She's got a miniature castle, basically the size of a shed, on tank treads, but they get to a place where the road's too much for tank tread castle, and they gotta wait for the palanquin.
But then they are waylaid.
Yeah.
It's exactly what you expect, like, right? Yeah. Princess gets kidnapped, mercenary and innocent boy and mysterious stranger have to go rescue her. It's pretty standard.
Yeah. It doesn't fall together quite the same way most of these stories do, where everyone's just there and then they go. Mercenary just kind of volunteers. Like, he's telling them to pay him, but he's like, I'll do it. You're going to pay me, but I'll do it.
Yeah, mostly just because he hates them robots.
Yeah, he hates them real good. And then he goes through the mandatory picking out my dudes sequence where everybody yells their best. They puts on their best war face.
I love that sequence because this is where you get all those like weird quiet screams. It's like,
as you can tell, like some of the direction was okay, yell, but do it bad.
Yeah. The first time I watched it, I didn't understand what he was doing. I was like, it seems like all the guys that are doing the good yells are getting pushed, like are not being chosen. Because it's weird that he would push them back out of line to choose them as opposed to bringing them forward. Basically, all the losers stay, and all of the quote-unquote winners, the chosen volunteers, get pushed out of line roughly.
No Mustache Bro doesn't make the cut, and he makes an impassioned speech to be let into the infiltration force that's going to go break into Demon Castle.
Yeah, it's him and two other losers who didn't get chosen run out of line, and they're like, "Please take us. We want to fight." And the Merc is like, "No, you are terrible. Like, if I bring you along, it'll be a liability. I need a small squad of elite, powerful dudes." And then No Mustache just gets like pissed, and he's like, "Ugh," and then you see the little characters on the side of his headband change to power, and then they're like, "All right, we'll take you along."
Fine, Gohan, come on.
Yeah, it's certainly something. But the reason that he's choosing to bring this squad along is because they have to rescue the princess. But also the Sawabe have built a giant castle gun.
Mm-hmm.
That is, it's the gun that is a castle that they're going to shoot the enemy castle from like across Japan.
Yeah, and they really lob that shot when it happens. And the first time I saw it, I was like, well, why didn't they just fire it before? And then in the movie, it was like, we just commissioned this. Like, they just finally got their giant castle gun built. That's why they haven't fired.
Yeah, they make a point of being like, haven't you test fired this? And the head of the SWAT was like, no, we just finished this. Like, we'll fire it. Don't worry.
Yeah. And then they have to there's sort of a ticking clock. It's not really relevant until the story decides it is, that they have to do it before the eclipse happens and the princess is sacrificed so her soul can enter the evil tree and bring back the dark demon lord who lives in a television.
Yeah, that demon lord is terrible. And also there's this sort of implication earlier on that the castle, the evil demon castle, is sustained by the soul of this sacrifice that has been given to it before the princess gets there, but she'll be like the double sacrifice or something.
Yeah, it's a little unclear other than that someone's going to die and some sort of demon lord is going to pop out of a really blown out television screen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And all the demon lords have like this terrible makeup. It's sort of almost like not quite no style makeup.
It reminded me of villain makeup from Kabuki, but they didn't use the blue lines. It's just the really sallow, pale blue white, and that's it. Yeah.
Everyone just looks real greasy, though. Like, whatever makeup they used, like, did not have full coverage because there was a lot of pink sticking out in random places, and they just looked real dirty all the time.
Yeah. While the good guys are sneaking in, Shiranui's sneaking in too. We don't quite find out why until a little bit later, but he's got his reason. It's exactly what you think it is.
Yeah, we didn't mention it, but Shiranui is the cyber ninja, the eponymous cyber ninja. And he's just running through the forest, slashing up dudes, like robot ninjas. So our intrepid squad of Sawabe troops just keeps coming across all these dead robot ninjas.
And there's a really brief scene. I'm pretty sure it was earlier, but he has an emotional moment where he's like kind of got lightning, and I think he's just trying to come to grips with what he is, and he smashes a tree limb with his hand, and you can see the burn on the tree mark where they had a powder charge in it to make it explode when he hit it.
Yeah, I think he was injured in the first battle with the cyber ninjas, or with the other ninjas, where the Suabe walked in on him, basically before the title card. Okay. And then after that, you see him doing a self-repair on the arm that got injured, which is actually kind of cool, which is why he has like the little lightning on it. And then he shows that his arm is fixed and powerful by smashing that tree and exploding it, which was cool.
Yeah, it was a neat effect. If I didn't know what to look for, I wouldn't have realized like the dark spots on it were powder burns from where they blew it up.
Yeah. And then somewhere in all of this mess, the evil villain realizes that their powerful cyber ninja weapon, which they've had for years at this point, because there is a throwaway line somewhere that's like, in that battle years ago where my brother died. So clearly this cyber ninja has been just out doing dirt, but he's finally started regaining his memory, which is why he's gone rogue. So the evil head villain sends his big henchman with the tiny head.
A tiny little face.
Yeah, a tiny extendable face, which is kind of cool.
It's a pretty cool costume, all things considered. Mm-hmm. But yeah, there's basically three bad guys. There's the main guy we see most of the time, which is the Dark Bishop Raime. He's Kabuki guy we were talking before.
Yep.
And he's got an Elizabethan collar and spider legs coming out of his back and a wizard robe.
He looks like someone hit random on the character creator.
It's like someone's like, I don't know, make him look evil.
Yeah.
Then they have their main, the guy they're trying to resurrect, who's just like a guy who's kind of in costume and just only shown on like a giant big screen TV, and he's just very blown out, bright. The white balance is way up. Mm-hmm. He's given the orders sometimes. And then there's Big Boss Minion guy with the tiny face.
Yeah, he's just like this big biomechanical armor creature in big bulky armor. It's cool.
Yeah, he's got robot dreads. He can pop his face out to torture people, to shoot torture rays at people.
Yeah, I never get the sense of really what anything does. Like, I guess it happens, and there is some people writhing in pain, but you never get the sense of like what exactly it's doing, other than like maybe it hurts you.
It could be microwaves. It could be dark magic. Maybe it's just playing. It's a small world inside of their skull on 90 decibels.
Yeah,
we don't know. It hurts people when he pops his face out.
Yeah, but that's pretty much the extent of the villains, and then underneath them are the sort of like faceless minions. There's a squad of like robot samurai-ish.
Sort of cooler guys with slightly more elaborate costumes. They don't really they get some screen time, but we never get an explanation of what their deal is.
They're halfway between the robot ninjas and our cyber ninja. They're kind of like 50% cool on that scale.
A couple of them reminded me of the bad guys from Stargate.
I could see that. But yeah, so in the woods, I think they go to like a quarry.
I don't know. It looked really cool because there's just perfectly rectangular slabs cut out of walls and vines growing everywhere. Mm-hmm. Like it could have been like landscape as designed by Frank Lloyd Wright.
Yeah, it's this really neat, almost brutalist looking garden space. But there's an epic battle there. And
you get a really brief scene where they're prepping their weapons and they program a laptop and then jam it into a bazooka.
The tech in this movie is wonderful.
It kind of defies explanation. But yeah, then that shoots neon beach balls at some laser lanterns that pop out of the wall. I think they get seen or something like that.
Yeah, I think there's a trap that they trigger and narrowly avoid. That is this like laser wall, but it's a wall of characters that come down, like of Japanese characters, which is a dope effect, I gotta say.
Yeah, like they really go ham on the special effects in this, and I'm 100% here for all of it.
Our dudes finally meet up and they fight all of the evil minions together.
They have a couple fights. They fight in the quarry. There's another fight at like a cave entrance. It's sort of a running fight, I guess, through Mount Demon Castle.
Eventually, one of the fights happens, and Shiranui, the cyber ninja, is basically being pressed up against the wall by the big white armor guy. Shoko, I think his name is. But then No Mustache runs in and stabs him in the back with his brother's sword, and it's to show that, I'm gonna rescue this ally.
I'm a big boy now.
Mm-hmm. And he actually does. He vanquished the most powerful guy there. But then, like, this dude is clearly like impaled, tottering, like barely moving. But Shiranui's like, no, he's dangerous. I have to do a cool flourish roll and then finish him off with my like cyber slash.
You don't get it, guys. He's a cyber ninja too. He's not really dead unless he's super dead.
But then he never does the double tap. He's like, okay, he's been slashed. He's on the ground. I guess we'll go. And then his fingers move.
The hand twitch of foreshadowing.
Mm-hmm.
We make it up to the big dark room where everyone lives in the castle.
Yeah, this castle only has the like one chamber.
It's just like a part of a quarry, the outside of like a cave with a road cut out on the side of the mountain, and then just one big dark room with 2 trees and a big screen TV where the evil lord lives.
Yeah, it looks like I know a bunch of ravers that like live in warehouses, and this is kind of that same vibe where it's like we're too good for walls.
What even are walls, man?
But yeah, there's an evil tree there, and Shiranui's like, give me back my body, you jerks.
Oh, and then throughout all this, there's, hints that Shiranui's actually Mustache Brother, which, Yeah,
it's pretty obvious. Like, from the first scene that, like, he interacts with literally anyone.
And they're like, haha, stupid. Your body's gone, and your soul's a part of Demon Castle. You did this for nothing.
Yeah, and he's like, well, that sucks. And he slashes at the demon tree, and he's like, I'm gonna get my body, and it, like, this gross, gooey, like, half digested corpse slumps out of the tree. And he's like, well, shit.
Then we can commence one of the segments of the final battle. It kind of stops and goes a little bit as things happen with the plot.
Yeah, I think the first major thing is that they're like fighting, and then at some point Shiranui just like straight up impales the warlord guy. And he's like, if you had let me live, you would have had a chance to get your soul back, but now you will never get it back. Blah, blah, blah.
And then he disintegrates. He turns into an animated body disintegration.
That was pretty dope, actually.
That was pretty cool. Yeah. The midpoint of that was actually on the back of the Laserdisc that I have. And I was like, what part of the movie is that from? Because it looks really good. Mm-hmm. It's really like a Akira Blame kind of an art style.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's pretty dope.
At some point, I think the mercenary general guy cuts the princess loose, and she has a brief moment of cool.
I think that's after that's after all of the action has happened.
Okay.
Because before that, the guy in the TV does a "make my monster grow" type thing on the white armor guy who
he
was dead. But then, through the powers of dark magic, has been resurrected, and he punches through the ground like a zombie.
He's back, and he's full of lightning.
Yeah, he's very full of lightning, and he basically kicks everyone's ass.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly what he says. It kind of felt like that was him, like, resurrecting.
Mm-hmm.
I remember watching the first one. I was like, oh, they're gonna introduce a new design or something, and I was a little disappointed when they just brought back Cyber Dreads.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, they didn't even do anything special. Like if he extended all of his like armor plates and I don't know, they could have done something neat, but it was still cool. It was fine.
I mean that's on me. Like I projected my expectations on the movie. The movie was always going to be what it was.
Yeah.
But yeah, he goes lightning ham on everyone.
He does, and at some point, No Mustache is killed in the fracas.
Yeah, and he, like his brother before him, drops his sword and sword bullets.
Yep. Which Shiranui sees, and he scoops up, and fighting happens, and then eventually he chops
There's
the top.
Well, there's a big, long... It's... Like, it didn't quite go on too long, but it got close where samurai, or a mercenary guy, and Shiranui are coming at him from both sides, and he's kind of pushing him back with lightning, and Shiranui's got their blade-on-blade struggling, and then mercenary guy tries to get him from behind, but he's getting pushed back by back lightning.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally, mercenary guy stabs him through the stomach from behind, and Shiranui loads up his sword and laser cuts the top of his head off.
Yep. And that pretty much is most of the villains. At some point, the castle, you cut to an exterior of this like demon castle, and it explodes, and all of these like robot spider legs pop out of it. Yeah.
But the princess, she gets cut loose and she falls out of her robes, so she's just wearing her warrior princess getup. Mm-hmm. And I guess someone was going to stab... One of the bad guys wasn't quite dead. He was getting up and he was going to stab mercenary general in the back. And she grabs his knife and then does the running slash pause. Mm-hmm. And the camera just lingers on her butt a little too long.
Yeah. Yeah, that's... Before she makes some throwaway comment about, like, not being dressed for the occasion, but
this is not how a warrior princess dresses.
Yes,
while she's tied to a monster tree.
Yeah, it was weird. But now she's in her like warrior undergarments, and she too is a ninja. So they collect Brother's body, and they all fly out on. It's just like.
It's really weird.
It's the roof of a house, kind of.
I get, sort of, but it's like...
but a shuttle.
Okay, so, yeah, like if when you were a kid and you played with Lincoln Logs, and you just made like a square too high,
mm-hmm.
and then if there was a bottom on that, and then two pontoons, that's what it looks like, and then the steering wheel is just like a wooden block on a podium. And
yeah.
It just moves around randomly.
But the pontoons are also roofing shingles because everything has to be a castle of some sort.
Yep.
So they're flying out of the demon fortress, and back in the Sawabe base, the commander guy uses his magical telescope that can see into buildings, sees them escape, and decides to shoot the giant cannon.
Yeah. He's just like, well, better take care of that before it becomes a problem. At the giant castle with spider legs.
I'm not entirely sure who was piloting the castle at that point, because like they killed most of the dudes except the guy in the TV. And there was no real indication that the guy in the TV was going to escape because they got the princess back.
Yeah, I I thought he'd been resurrected into the body of Shogo or Cyber Dreads. That's what I don't know. I'd need to watch it again. But yeah, like if you missed that part, you might think that maybe the castle was being possessed by him or something. Maybe it was just coming to life. It was freaky, and I'd shoot it with a giant cannon.
I mean, yeah,
if I saw it.
Like if you have a giant cannon pointed at this thing and it was like doing giant spider legs, sure, might as well. So that's the end of the evil castle, and so they just are flying back and they have a little convo in the air.
Like just a real little tying up of the saga of Mustache Bro and not Mustache Bro.
They had to make it absolutely explicit in case you were just not paying attention or too slow to pick it up. By the way, hint, hint, this guy's brother is probably very proud of him. Who knows who his brother is? But here, take his sword for reasons. The mercenary absolutely knows who the cyber ninja is, and the princess, very slow on the uptake, actually asks, she's like, is he really? And then the mercenary shrugs, and then the cyber ninja is like, peace. He jumps off the side.
Just yeets right off the side. I was actually looking up a song during that part of the movie, and it synced up perfectly to that moment. It's Gemini by Princess Nokia.
Yeah, that's pretty much the end of Cyber Ninja.
Roll credits.
Roll credits. It feels like a very long episode of something.
Yeah, it's like OVA length. Mm-hmm. If the listeners are familiar with some anime conventions.
Yeah.
Conventions in anime.
Yeah. It feels very self-contained. It feels very like we had an idea, we're going to execute on that idea. And they didn't really leave any open threads other than, and the Cyber Ninja will have further adventures. But you could clearly see this becoming a franchise had history changed slightly, right? Like they could easily pump out more episodes of a TV show of this if they'd had the financial backing.
Oh yeah, I definitely could have seen this becoming like a huge thing. I think I checked out the arcade game. It's not great.
What style of game is it?
It's sort of run and gun. You're Cyber Ninja and you're just running to the right, throwing stars forward. Stuff comes at you. It's really sparse. I didn't hear the music, so I can't comment on that. But it looks like in later levels, everything gets really maze-like for no apparent reason.
Was it in arcades or was it?
Yeah, it was an arcade game.
I guess if you have a MAME cabinet,
check it out. I guess yeah. And if you can find Cyber Ninja, I definitely, if you can find it for a good price, I definitely recommend watching it. Mm-hmm. I haven't been able to find it streaming anywhere. When I first bought it, I looked it up on eBay, and there were a bunch of DVD copies. It also got a VHS release in the States. But looking recently, it's become a little harder to find.
Keep an eye out for it. It's definitely a very fun little gem from the late 80s. Honestly, the production value was a lot higher than I expected it to be.
It really just grabbed me right immediately because of the production value, and especially some of the composite shots were a lot better than I thought they would be. Mm-hmm. Like in the beginning, there's that scene where the Sowabe army's running towards the Mecha Ninjas, and I didn't notice until I was looking at clips of it that it was actually a composite shot of 3 separate planes of the same group of people put together.
Nice.
And then the wall gun comes up the side of the hill. It kind of ruins it. Because is it not quite the right angle?
Yeah, the mecha have that problem of a lot of miniature work from this era where they don't do enough to obscure the scale and the detail, so it just comes up looking like a giant toy, which is fine, but maybe runs counter to what they were hoping to do with it.
Yeah, they look cool. I mean, everything looks great in this.
Everything does. Honestly, the only thing that I can think of in sort of contemporary times that gives me the same vibe was the Batman Ninja animated feature that they did for Netflix a while back. If you want to see giant mecha castles and this weird blend of, warring states technology and modern tech, that's it.
And also, Samurai Pizza Cats is on Verve and lots of other streaming sites if you want to check that out.
Mm-hmm.
I recommend it. I'm weird, though, so... One thing I did find out this time around after a second round of research is that it actually premiered in Cannes.
Really?
Yeah.
That is wild.
Yeah. If you can get your hands on it, definitely go for it.
Yeah, it was a great way to spend 71 minutes of my time.
You won't regret.
Yeah, it's short enough that, give it a try, and you'll probably enjoy the costumes and the effects, if nothing else.
Yeah.
Well, we'll be looking at another movie next week, or show, or game. I'm not entirely sure. We'll figure it out next time around. So, Sky, thanks for thanks for watching all of these interesting choices with me.
Yeah. And where can people find you on the internet, Kate?
You can find me on Twitter at Army of Meat. And where can people find you, Sky?
You can find me on Twitter at Shard_Corso, SHARD_CORSO. You can also drop suggestions in our Twitter at Interesting Show 4. Don't ask me. Twitter gave it to me.
Yeah. Whatever.
But until next time.
Until next time.